Hi, this is Ralph Zuranski. I'm on the phone with David Hancock. He is a publisher of many different types of books, periodicals, and basically everything under the sun that you can think of. David, how are you doing today?
Absolutely incredible. How are you, Ralph?
Good. What is the name of your company and what exactly is it that you do?
It's Morgan James Publishing, and we are actually a traditional book publisher. We take that spoken word, help people wrap it up into a book format, and get it out there to the world. You know, whether it's to gain credibility in their market or just to get what they have to say out there, we try to work with them to help get it done.
And you're one of the publishers where you don't have to put up like $20,000 to have 1 million copies made. You basically can print one at a time or how many ever quantities that the person needs, and the price is the same. Is that true?
That's right. We look at it each way. You know, our market is basically we make money when we sell books to the consumer out there in the bookstores. And when we get passionate about a certain book or title, you know, we'll do it one at a time if we need to. We'll do it in mass quantities if we need to. We kind of accommodate the market, but it doesn't affect the author in any way, which is really unique right now.
Well, one of the things with publishers is that a lot of times they publish the book, but they don't do any marketing. Do you do marketing with the titles that you publish, or?
Yeah, we sure do. We have to, again, because that's how we actually survive is by the book sales. And when I say by the book sales, we don't try to sell the authors as many copies of their book as they physically can afford. We try to sell their copies of the books to the people who really need to get it in their hands. So yeah, we have to. And I know there's some companies out there that will do marketing but not publishing, and publishing and not marketing. But I think we've got a good mix of them both. We'll consider publishing it. We'll get it just right, and then we'll get out there and get it to the world.
Is it true that when you sell books to like Barnes & Noble and some of the other big companies that if they don't sell the books, then they can just return them and get a refund?
That's right. Again, that's kind of unique for small publishers, but it was just a decision that we made that's what we needed to do. We put faith in our books, and if the consumer doesn't like it, we don't want them to have to keep it. So yeah, that's true, and it's important to us to stay that way.
Well, that's really great. Well, I know the first time I ever heard you speak was at Ray Perry's Entrepreneur Days seminar down in Dallas.
Oh, that's right.
And I was really impressed with the things that you had to say and just how important it is for people to gain credibility with having their own book about what their particular topic is. How important is that to have their own book?
Well, yeah, I think it's very important. In fact, that's how I got into the publishing business. Is I had been a long-term mortgage banker forever, and I had plateaued. I'd gotten to a point where my income, my business, everything was just staying level, but I was ambitious enough to know that I needed to be a little bit more. So I started to go into all the seminars. I went to everything that I could to learn how I could become that celebrity in the market, how I could become better at what I'm doing. And one of the things that I learned was I needed to establish myself as an expert in my field. I needed to have credibility. Well, I could go around all day long patting myself on the back saying, hey, I'm wonderful, do business with me. But the fact of having someone else say that I was wonderful stuck with me. And somebody told me that I needed just to write a book, get it published, and then I would have that third-party validation of someone else saying that I was wonderful. Well, it turned out writing the book was the easy part. Getting it published was an absolute beast, but we can talk about that later. But it was horrible. But once I did get it published and get it out there, I used it as a business card and doubled my income, literally doubled my income that same year. And the only thing I did different was establish to the public that I was an expert in the field. At first, it may have all been perception, but it became reality. It was great. So I took that concept of publishing being horrible and wanted to change that, and the fact that it made such a difference in my life. It's one of the things that I love to get involved in, and I really promote to professionals is to try to help them do the exact same thing I did, because it was something so simple when you took out the horrible experience. It was something that was so simple to do, and it worked so well.
Well, when I heard you speak, I knew that you had a high level of integrity and that you produced a quality service for a lot of people that needed help in publishing their books. And so I wanted to do the Heroes interview with you. And so the first question I want to ask you, David, is what is your definition of heroism?
Well, I think it's probably, it's big, it's huge. It's more than just having courage or being brave or saving someone's life. I think it's having enough courage to do something that most won't. In fact, not just saving someone's life, but to make a difference in someone's life, whereas that can actually be what saves them. So if not physically having to save their life from a bullet, but actually saving their life by giving them an opportunity to do more with their lives.
Did you ever create a secret hero in your mind that helped you deal with life's difficulties?
No, not really. I've always looked to God for strength and guidance no matter what I did. even if things got rough. But it's probably just have to be God and my parents, of course.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is your perspective on goodness, ethics, and moral behavior? I know you've been to a lot of the conferences, as have I, and you see a lot of people up there pitching products that really aren't worth the money that they're asking. What is your perspective on goodness, ethics, and moral behavior? I
really believe it's essential in my success. It's not something that, that I sit around and think about all day long because it just comes naturally for me. I have to do and treat others the same way that I would want to be treated. And this is reflected in all my decisions, not just my personal life, but in my business life, which, of course, is often intertwined because Morgan James Publishing is actually named after my kids. But it's just who I am. I always have wanted to be treated a certain way, and I always expect that I would treat other people the same way. So it's very, very important, whether it's financial, good or bad, ethics or moral. It's just I have to treat them the way that I would expect to be treated.
David, what are your principles that you're willing to sacrifice your life for?
Have we got time for all that?
Sure, as long as you want.
Well, I guess if I would have to name one or two, it'd have to be obviously freedom of religion and speech. They'd have to be on the top. You've got to be able to feel strong in what you believe enough to tell everybody and get the word out, but also have the belief to back it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so true. When was the lowest point in your life, and how did you change your life path to win a victory over all obstacles?
Let's see. It would probably have to be when I was in my early 20s. I had just gotten married, literally 2 months earlier, and I had a crippling back injury. 2.5 years of pain and surgery and a body cast, and the fact that I couldn't even support my new bride any longer was really, really tough.
Wow.
But it was. I mean, I just got married. I was 21 years old, and it was a lot of pride, at that point, and then not being able to support the family and not being able to get off the couch. It was tough. But I literally just had to put my faith in God and move on. It made me change my careers. It ended up bringing me into the publishing business. So, when I look back on it, it probably was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, that is amazing. Turning lemons into lemonade.
Amen.
Do you have a dream or vision that sets the course of your life?
Well, sure. I think we all do. Whether we know it or not. Mine is just to live right and try to help others. I try to live by example. I've been taught that way, and it just has stuck with me.
Do you take a positive view of setbacks, misfortunes, and mistakes?
Absolutely. And I always say that God guides my footsteps. So even the setbacks and mistakes, happen for a reason. The things I learn from them, make me better at what I do and when I get through it.
Are you an optimist?
Not that I like to, actually get those mistakes, but it happens.
Yeah. Are you an optimist?
Of course. No matter what situation I'm in, I'm still doing absolutely incredible. I think I may have said that when you asked me how I was doing, but most people don't really care how I'm doing. But if I started saying, well, I'm horrible, I think things are going to be terrible, the world's going to end tomorrow, all that does is just bring negativity in. So I'm always optimist. I'm always positive. I'm always happy. I'm always the same way, and it helps me. And I think it's important that if I stay that way, others start to feel the same way. It's contagious.
Do you feel that it takes courage to pursue new ideas?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I try to do it every day, and you really have to do it every day. Otherwise, you just get stagnant and stale.
Many people, when they change their lives and go in pursuit of their dream, they experience a lot of discomfort because most people in their lives don't really want them to change. Do you think it's important for people to realize that if they do change themselves for the better, that a lot of people are going to give them a difficult time because they don't want to change?
Oh, yeah, it's true. And that's the same factor, people just getting into a comfort zone and not being willing to step out of it, whether to make themselves better or to try to help others get better. I don't seek out discomfort, and I don't always sort of say, hey, you're going to be really uncomfortable if you step out and do it, but I encourage it. I think it's very important.
How important is it to believe in your dreams that they'll become reality?
I believe it's very important. I mean, Gracious, I live by it. Just go read Matthew 7. I've always thought, and if you ask, you shall receive, which is the way I look at the dreams and my hopes and ideas.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's so true. Everybody experiences doubts and fears of success, fears of failure, fears of injury, fears of rejection. How do you overcome your doubts and fears? Well,
it's easy. I just don't have them. Well, actually I do, but I try not to dwell on them. If I have a doubt, I just set it aside. If I don't dwell on it, it goes away.
Is there
so that's why I say I don't have it.
Is there anybody other than God that gives you the willpower to change things in your life for the better?
Yeah, it would have to be. It'd have to be probably my kids and my wife and my parents. They've always encouraged me. I've always seen them, and they give me many, many reasons to live and do well.
Do you think that it's important to forgive those who upset, offend, and oppose you?
I absolutely do. It's very difficult to offend me or get me upset, but I do. I can't expect others to forgive me if I can't forgive them.
Uh-huh. In business, a lot of times there's situations that arrive where somebody screws you over, and it's easy to forgive them a lot of times for what they did, but there's a certain amount of accountability as far as calling people to task for what they've done. Do you feel that it's important to hold people accountable for the wrong things that they do?
Well, I do. It's always tough to talk about, but being raised in a small Christian school and having a small family to grow up in, I've always been held accountable for my thoughts. So it's part of who I am, of what I teach my kids, but it also is a part of the business world. We all take actions, and every action is a reaction. So I think it's important. I do think it's important that if accountability needs to be placed, we need to stand up and take credit for it.
Mm-hmm. Do you experience service to others as a source of joy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I absolutely love helping others. I really, really enjoy it. So the more I help, the better I feel. I mean, that might be a cliche, but the truth is I really get a lot of satisfaction out of helping others.
Mm-hmm. What place does the power of prayer have in your life?
That's I guess a difficult question to answer, because I wouldn't consider it having a place. It's just always there. It's part of who I am. I mean, it's there. So I would assume it's the largest place. It's me.
How important is it to maintain a sense of humor in the face of serious problems?
Well, I have to have it. Humor is just built in for me. It helps me get through. I once spoke to a group a little bit larger than I had spoken to before. I was very, very intimidated. I was unsure of the audience. The topic I was roughly familiar with, but I was scared to death. When I was done, people actually came up to me and told me how great it was and how funny it was. But imagine my surprise, because I wasn't trying to be anything but alive at the time. So evidently, it's very important.
Well, who are the heroes in your life?
It has to be. It's hard to put a name to anything, but it'd have to probably be my parents and my bride and my kids, because they put up with me. But if I wanted to kind of spread it out a little bit more than that, it would have to be others who strive to do and live right. Because I get a lot of encouragement. I get a lot of power for what I do by seeing others, living their life right, running their business right, and doing their things right. I think it takes a lot of courage to share it with the world. So those would be the heroes for me.
Why are heroes so important in the lives of young people?
The young people are so impressionable. Even as my kids grow up and my brothers and sisters' kids grow up, I see that they're always looking to someone else. They're looking for something else. They're looking for something in someone else. And if they can relate to somebody, they can trust somebody, they can emulate somebody to develop their own selves, I think it's very important. They do it whether they're trying or not. That's a part of human nature. And if we can give them somebody to point to, or those can make a difference in their lives, I think it's very, very important.
Who do you think are the heroes today that are not getting the recognition that they deserve?
That one we probably have to skip, because I hadn't got to that one yet.
Okay.
I don't know.
How do people become heroes?
I don't think it's something you can just do. I think it's something you must be or try to be. You be a hero by living right and stepping out and making a difference to those that need to be made. And again, whether it's saving someone's life, physically or otherwise, it's making a difference in someone's life. It's getting out of your comfort zone to help somebody. That's how you become a hero. I think if you step out, do something that you know is right, and do things that others are afraid to do, inevitably, I think you can become a hero.
A lot of the heroes I've interviewed so far really feel that entrepreneurs are the true heroes of society, because they create jobs, they overcome their fear in trying new things, and they work hard to provide a degree of excellence that finally, ultimately rewards them financially when their service matches the needs of the clients that they serve. How does it feel to be recognized as an internet hero?
I tell you, I'm absolutely honored. I'm humbled I'm gracious, and I'm appreciative, and I hope that if you ever tell anybody about this,
well, I will. It's going in the blog.
Oh, wonderful! It's a truly humbling and honoring experience. I was surprised and amazed that you had even considered me. So it's exciting. I'm really very proud to be here.
How are you working to make the world a better place?
There's a lot of things that I like to do. From even doing some youth missions as a kid, I've always tried to do things for others. I've always tried to worry about more things than just me, more things than just my family. Some of the things that I like to do, and some of the things that we as a company are trying to do, is work with organizations like the Habitat for Humanity. Right now, a piece of every one of our books gets donated to the Habitat for Humanity International. We're a corporate global sponsor. So everything that we do, we try to help improve the lives of others. It's something small, but it certainly can make a difference. We also like to try to go out and think of different ways that we might help create jobs in disadvantaged areas. Those things are important to me because someone had ultimately given me an opportunity to get into a line of work that I didn't have any experience of getting into it at the time. And so I've always had that stick with me. So if I can go out and make a difference in someone's lives, help them get a house or a decent home to live in, or give them a good job in an area that nobody has any jobs, that's incredibly rewarding, and that's something that I'm striving and doing right now.
Do you have any good solutions to the problems facing society today, especially racism, child and spousal abuse, and violence among young people?
Yeah, I think the violence among young people is getting elevated way too much. I think we need to. Again, I'm all for free speech and expression, but there's a point when our children need not see things and need not be exposed to things, and they just need to see love, and they need to be loved. And as far as racism, it just makes me mad. God created us all equal, and it's where you are and who you are and how you were brought up, but oftentimes it's a decision you make in your mind to not make it an issue, and I think you have to make that decision. It's just not an issue. As far as the spousal abuse, I'm still married to my first wife and will probably always be married to my first wife because I'll only have one wife. So I love her dearly, and she's a part of my life. And I hope others that may be struggling in their relationships can see that it can be done and to avoid that hate and that anger that can build up among spouses.
If you had 3 wishes for your life in the world that would come true instantly, what would they be?
Oh, let's see. Oh, gracious. You hate to do the beauty pageant thing, world hunger and all, that kind of stuff.
But those are good ones.
Really, if I had an opportunity to just do more of what I enjoy, gracious. I'd like to have enough cash to eliminate some issues, build more houses for those that don't have the money to live in decent housing. I'd like to be able to get food to the areas that don't have them, or help people move out of situations, or help them realize that they may be in a situation because of their activities or their actions, part of that cause and effect. So I think that's 2 of them. I can't think of a third.
2 is good.
Oh, good.
What do you think about the In Search of Heroes program and its impact on youth, parents, and business people?
Well, I think it's incredible. I think the fact that the In Search of Heroes program kind of reaches beyond just a targeted niche of this one group or another. I think it's going to be huge. It's something that I think the parents can share with their kids. I think it's something the business people can share with their employees. I think it's something that the youth can share among each other. I think it's incredible. I'm very, very excited about it, and have been. And again, I'm honored to even be a part of it.
What are the things that parents can do that will help their children realize that they too can be heroes and make a positive impact on the lives of others?
I really think if we as parents just spend more time with our kids, teaching them the fact that our actions have consequences, and that if we try to treat others with respect, and if we can try to be someone, we can become heroes.
Yeah, boy, that's so true. David, I really appreciate your time. I know how busy that you are, and once I get ready to publish the In Search of Heroes book, I definitely want you to publish it. And so I wanted to see, do you have any parting advice for young people listening to this interview? I do. I'd like for the young people who are listening to the interview, to know that no matter what situation that they're in, they have a choice to accept it or not. No matter how bad things might be getting, I think you have an opportunity
to step out and make us better. It can be tough. Grab a friend, grab someone that's a hero close to you, and just move on.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Well, again, I really appreciate your time and just your wisdom and that you've shared with us today.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, Ralph. I really do. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks again, David.